Hey there, fight fans. In today's video,
what's up, everybody? Here we are again. You know, Jon Jones was training last night, got injured, he's out.
Wow. Oh my God. Oh my God. On February 13th, hosts had appeared on the UFC Eurasia account stating that Makhachev is the new king of the pound for pound. Was confident that Islam would head the list of the organization's best fighters.
That was quick.
I mean, after all, he defeated the leader of the pound for pound and was supposed to be taking his place, but that did not happen. So why did Jon Jones remain in first place in pound for pound? Although since February of 2020, Bones has only defeated Cyril Gane, who had nothing to do with the list of the best athletes in the UFC. Now, the main topic of today's video, what is next for Islam Makhachev? Whether it's a matchup with Charles Oliveira or Justin Gaethje, Colby Covington, or any other top contender, fans can look forward to some thrilling fights and captivating storylines. But there is one potential matchup that is flying under the radar.
You have to listen, right? You have to listen, RC. I think Islam should fight Conor McGregor next.
So let's kick things off in order.
What's up, everybody? Here we are again. You know, Jon Jones was training last night, got injured, he was wrestling, and he tore the tendon that connects your pec to the bone, off the bone. 8 months, gonna need surgery, he's out. So, the main event is Prohaska versus Pereira. The co-main event now is Pavlovich versus Aspinall for the interim heavyweight championship. Number 2 versus number 4 in the heavyweight division for the interim heavyweight title. UFC 295 is live November 11th from MSG on ESPN Plus pay-per-view.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, the rumours are in fact true. I am fighting Sergey Pavlovich in 2 weeks' time. And obviously my phone is going absolutely insane right now. Questions, tickets, interviews, people want to know everything. But I'm going to be staying off social media. Quite frankly, I have 2 weeks to train for the and I'm going to get myself as ready as possible.
Now, Islam Makhachev's dominant first-round victory over Alexander Volkanovski left many convinced that he would ascend to the pinnacle of the rankings, regardless of weight category. However, when the updated rankings were unveiled on October 24th, Islam found himself in second place. This unexpected outcome stirred a lot of discontent among fans and prompted some discussions about potential discrimination against Russian fighters. So is the promotion solely to blame for this situation? Well, of course not, because these lists are not compiled by Dana White or the UFC. As you know, the rankings are determined by a panel of media members who vote on the fighters' positions. Now, while the UFC certainly has an influence on the media's perception through promotional efforts, they cannot directly manipulate the rankings to favor or disfavor fighters. Makhachev should have topped the pound-for-pound ranking after UFC 284. Islam came to Australia and fought Volkanovski in order to get the first spot in the pound-for-pound rankings. Now, at the time, Makhachev was in the second position in the pound-for-pound rankings, while Volkanovski reigned supreme at number 1. The bout was set to determine the rightful ruler of the prestigious list, so everything seemed pretty logical. Makhachev, although not in absolute prime shape, delivered a pretty stellar performance against Volkanovski, ultimately securing a unanimous decision victory. Now, immediately following Makhachev's triumph, the official UFC account made a significant announcement that the Russian champion would take the throne as the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter, irrespective of weight class. This declaration was met with a lot of enthusiasm by fans worldwide and was perceived as a just reward for Makhachev's remarkable win. But then, it didn't happen, and after UFC 294, the situation yet again repeated itself.
Не первый, ты второй. Первое место осталось за Джонсоном. Что ты думаешь по этому поводу?
Ну, я уже говорил на пресс-конференции, я сам, честно сказать, еще это не видел. Кто составляет эти рейтинги и для чего их составляет, не знаю. Я уже выигрывал первого номера паунд-фор-паунд, и меня не поставили на первое место. И даже сейчас, почему меня не поставили, ничего удивительного нет. Насчет рейтингов, я никогда не ждал справедливости, и до сих пор не жду, потому что мы на примере других наших бойцов, Анкалаева, там, Петра Яна видели отношение к нам всегда, так что я не знаю, как по-другому первое место достичь. Если выиграл первого номера, тебя не ставят на первое место, то по-другому я не знаю, как вообще, какой путь там.
And I do feel for Islam because the reality is he's doing incredible things and he's there, he's number 2. It's not a bad spot to be in. Now Islam Makhachev wants to be the pound for pound number 1. He wants to make history. He wants to be a 2-weight division champion. The problem is you can't just forget about the resume of a Jon Jones. What Jon Jones did was unbelievable, and it's the length of time that the dominance has been going on for.
Again, since February of 2020, Jones has only beaten Cyril Gane, who again had no ranking significance among the best athletes. So while Islam did show impressive activity with 7 victories, 6 of which were finishes, and 3 of those victories were in fights for championship belts. However, Jon Jones is like an icon for the US. He was the youngest champion in UFC history, king in 2 different weight divisions. How can he ever be removed from his throne? Once Jones decides to retire, Makhachev can then be promoted to the number 1 spot. But if Makhachev has one more victory in his division, he will equal Khabib Nurmagomedov in the number of successful belt defenses. So Makhachev understands perfectly well that he is following his own unique path, and if he does continue to win, they will finally have to recognize him as the pound-for-pound leader. Now Makhachev, who has been outspoken about his goals within the UFC, is keen on defending his lightweight title, but he also has his eyes set on securing a second championship belt in a different weight class. However, the promotion's plans do not seem to align with this ambition at the moment, and UFC President Dana White has also mentioned that Charles Oliveira could be a potential next opponent for Makhachev, which would then mean a rematch with the Brazilian fighter. But another contender who's hanging out waiting in the wings? Justin Gaethje, who initially appeared to be the next challenger for Makhachev and might have had his plans disrupted due to developments at UFC 294. So the potential matchup with Gaethje would require Makhachev to apply his skills, well, rather strategically. He would need to navigate Gaethje's striking power while exploiting his own grappling advantage. So that fight promises to be a very tactical chess match that could very well keep the fans on the edge of their seats. Also, Makhachev is going to be attending the fight between Leon Edwards and Colby Covington, so if he's lucky, he will then be given the opportunity to fight for that second belt. However, it will all depend on how interesting the UFC brass find this idea. Overall, Makhachev does have a very good chance against both Edwards and Covington. And in second case, this also guarantees a very heated press conference and a lot of media attention. So whether it's a matchup with Oliveira or Gaethje, Colby Covington, or any other top contender, fans can look forward to a lot of thrilling fights and some captivating storylines. But there is one potential matchup that is again flying under the radar. That is all for one person, Daniel Cormier. Cormier firmly believes that the next opponent for Makhachev should be none other than Conor McGregor.
I think Islam should fight Conor McGregor next. Because, listen to this now, and you have to listen, right? You have to listen, RC. It's built in. It's built in. It's the biggest money fight the UFC can make, and why not? You have Islam Makhachev, who looks to be a guy that's going to be a dominant champion. In order to have that dominant champion go to the next level of superstardom, you need a foil. You need a guy that can elevate him. The guy that can elevate him to that level is Conor McGregor. Because look at what Conor McGregor did, or beating Conor McGregor did for Dustin Poirier. Look at what it did for Khabib Nurmagomedov. And we're not even talking about all the other levels at which this just makes sense. You have Islam fighting Conor after the issues Conor has had with Khabib and everything else. You have Islam fighting Conor, the biggest star in mixed martial arts, coming back to the UFC. Ryan, it makes sense.
Could you imagine the fireworks if that fight materializes? Perhaps the most tantalizing aspect of this potential matchup is Khabib Nurmagomedov's involvement. Khabib has been unwavering in his retirement, but his continued presence in the MMA world is still undeniable. If Makhachev faces McGregor, Khabib is likely to be in Makhachev's corner, and a chance for McGregor to bring Khabib back to the octagon. But of course, that is if McGregor can defeat Makhachev. In the event that McGregor does defeat Makhachev, the narrative then takes a very dramatic turn. It would create a storyline so compelling that even the retired Khabib might have to consider returning for a rematch against Conor. Now that would be a fight that fans have been clamoring for since their intense encounter back in 2018. The allure of a Khabib-McGregor 2 could be too tempting for both fighters to resist. Now certainly, some may claim that this is going to be impossible. It is improbable that Conor could ever defeat Makhachev, and it does seem unlikely that Khabib would ever make a return. However, nothing is truly impossible, just highly improbable. Now, imagine for a moment, what if Conor were to knock out Makhachev? Go ahead and leave your thoughts down in the comments. What do you guys think about all of this?